Welcome to Law Talk Today, a series devoted to bringing you informative and educational programs focused on issues of law, government, and community.
Good evening and welcome to LawTalkToday.tv. My name is Mark Gruber. On this show each week we talk about different aspects of the law and we interview people involved in the law, people in the know you might say. We have shows involving police officers demonstrating breathalyzer machines, battered women, judges, lawyers, law clerks. It's a public education on the law. And this is the real thing. This is the law that is in and around Morris County and in Sussex County, New Jersey. On tonight's show, we're going to be talking about the family court. And our guest tonight is the Honorable Stephan Hansbary, who's the presiding judge in the family court in Morris and in Sussex counties. Welcome, Judge.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Judge, I've been appearing before you for, what, 7 or 8 years maybe?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I have experienced your judgeship and sort of grown with you as you went through the system. It's great to have you on the show. Let's talk tonight about all the different aspects of the family court. I guess first, a little bit about your background. You were a practicing attorney, then you became a judge. Mm-hmm. Just fill us in how you got to be the family judge in Morris County.
Well, that's a difficult question to answer. Judges in New Jersey are nominated by the governor and appointed by the Senate. 39 states elect judges, but New Jersey is one of the few states that actually appoints them, which I think is, at least from my point of view, probably a preferential system. So back in 2000, Governor Whitman nominated me. I was confirmed by the Senate. And the then assignment judge, Judge Stanton, said, "You're going to the family division." So I said, "Okay, that's fine with me." And it was fine with me because I think that's really the most vibrant part of the court system and the most needed, I think. And I shouldn't say most needed, but it requires a lot of different skills, and I was pleased to be in the family part, and I've been there ever since, 8.5 years now.
Yeah, you know, Judge, I've always said about family court and family-type cases, mm-hmm. You're dealing with real people, mm-hmm. You're dealing with emotions, you're dealing with people's lives, right. And it involves a lot of different aspects of the law. It's mm-hmm. not just like a drunk driving case, right. You know, day in and day out. It's not like a personal injury case. It's so varied and mm-hmm. vast. It's kind of a cool place to practice, if you ask me. Mm-hmm. Of course, I'm a family lawyer, so right. I enjoy doing that. By definition, what types of cases come into the family court?
Well, let me get my list out here so I'm complete. I think there's 11 different docket types, what they call docket types in the family court. And dissolution, of course, is one of them. That's where there's a divorce, that's called dissolution. We have non-dissolution, and that's really mainly child support and custody issues with people who either aren't married or people who are married but choose not to file a complaint for divorce. Grandparent visitation issues come under that. There's adoption, there's domestic violence contempt. There's a kind of case called the legal kinship guardian. Several years ago, the legislature passed a law which allows, in certain cases, something short of adoption but more than temporary custody for principally DIFUS removal cases where they don't want to completely terminate the rights of the parent, but they need to set up some sort of system where there's an actual parental role. Okay. And so they've called it kinship legal guardians. Let's see what else. There's all the juvenile matters, juvenile criminal matters, children in court, which is principally DIFUS cases. I think I've covered pretty much the spectrum.
Well, now you've hit them all. We can end our interview. No, just kidding. I want to go into those a lot more. But I think the pure definition of a family-type case is anything relating to the family.
Correct. Right?
So it could be same-sex relationships. Mm-hmm. It could be all sorts of things. Anything relating to
Correct.
Family, right?
And they fit into one of these 11 docket types. Mm-hmm. Same-sex relationships, for example. If there is a civil union, there's a dissolution process, it's under the dissolution docket number. It's handled in the exact same way as a alternate sex or different sex dissolution.
Now, Judge, I know you brought some statistics with you. the statistics in Morris County and Sussex County for filings. What does that look like?
Well, in the past year, there have been about 10,000 filings in Morris County family and about 5,000 in Sussex, and that covers the spectrum of all the cases that I've told you about. And one thing I found interesting, a lot of us, when the economy turned a little bad, were wondering whether that would increase the number of new filings or decrease it, because you could argue it both ways. People are under greater financial stress, so therefore there might be more complaints for divorce filed. On the other hand, people perhaps can't afford to get a divorce. They can't afford to sell the house is underwater. Actually, it's been pretty level in both counties. There was an uptick after the first of the year, but it's leveled out. So the numbers we've been dealing with this year are pretty much the same as they were last year.
How many judges are there sitting in the family court in Morris County?
Well, the ideal is to have 6 judges sitting in Morris and 2 in Sussex. The process of appointing judges sometimes takes a little longer than we might want, so we've been down to 5 judges for a while, which means the work of 6 is being done by 5. But we have a new judge being sworn in this Friday who will come to the division, which will bring us back up to 6. So 4 of them do dissolution, pretty much. 1 does all the juvenile matters, including children in court, and 1 does the non-dissolution and the domestic violence. And it's broken up pretty well. Some of the smaller counties, Sussex, for example, a judge has to do more docket types because there's fewer judges. There's 2 judges in Sussex, but we try and break it up fairly.
Of course, I know the answer to this question, but why are Morris and Sussex grouped together?
Well, I don't know that I know the answer to that, frankly, but there's some interesting history to this. At one time, it was Morris, Sussex, and Warren is one vicinage. There's 15 vicinages and 21 counties. There's 3 vicinages that are multi-county districts. And I think it's just simply a county like Sussex or Warren, some of the others are simply too small to justify having a full administrative unit, so they match it with another county. There was a time back in the 50s when actually Ocean County was part of our vicinage. We found that out historically when we did some research when we had a new assignment judge, and for a few years Ocean was part of our district. I can't explain that one though.
I can't either. That's pretty weird. Let's talk about dissolutions. What types of cases dissolutions? That's divorce primarily, right? And what's a typical dissolution case in Morris County like, if there is such
Well, there's not a typical one, but I can talk a little bit about the kinds of things we do. Only 1 in 100 cases, for example, of dissolution actually go to trial. 99% of the cases settle, and that's because we try very hard to encourage cases to settle, not because we don't want to try them. Most of us did trials as a lawyer and like to try these cases. But we know that if the litigants can resolve their own issues among themselves and sign an agreement, and they acknowledge within